Yeah, I'm not standing today. I'm tired. Yeah, yeah. I work. I work like maybe about 7 hours on code today, which and that's just purely for the startup that I'm working with, and it was pretty nice. Um, I had a lot of things to fix, cause for the longest time we could not merge from dev because we had like problems on various things. So and what we did merge yesterday actually, but then it broke some things in production, so we had to revert the merge, and so we pulled it back, and then I had to fix a lot of things. But some of the problem was we were not having the same problems on local, we were not having the same problems on dev. uh, there was some weird database migration that one of the devs did, and I had to fix that manually and go find the data and fill out the data and all that kind of thing. And then I had to there were a number of optimizations here and there, and then I had to essentially replicate the production server. It would have been wiser and safer to kind of create a dump of the production database and then spin up a new database, but I didn't do that. I actually connected the production database to a development environment, but the safety there was that we didn't have access to anybody else's data in terms of we couldn't log into their accounts because of course their passwords were safe and all that kind of thing. So um, and every other write operation to the database was made sure to be off. So we weren't writing anything to the database, we were just reading data. So it was practically safe. But of course, in the future, I know that it's better to create a dump of the production database and to actually test that out. So, so I spun up like an ephemeral instance, but this one was a manual ClickOps method, and then I essentially worked on it, and then I was finally able to see the errors that were coming up, and by logging into one of our test accounts that we have on prod, and I was able to see some of those issues here and there, and I was able to fix it, and was finally able to merge from dev to main, and everything was working fine. And then we had a couple of optimizations that we had to do, um, crazy, crazy, crazy things. Couple of optimizations that we had to do because of some things were just very slow. I used an LRU cache, to cache some operations that we're doing often. Created a bunch of indexes on the database to speed things up for like popular things that we always look up. Then I realized that of course it was faster in dev because everything was on the same network, but in prod, and it was faster locally, but in prod and everything it's longer. I discovered that Superbase's timeout is actually 8.5 seconds, and we had an endpoint that was taking more than 8.5 seconds. The weird thing was that it was supplying about 50 items when all we needed to display in the table was just 10. So the pagination was wacky or something like that. And like we had a dashboard that was showing many things. So I still have a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow, but yeah, this platform is getting much and much and much faster. One of the devs really did an amazing work with like he did a bunch of lazy loading with and data aggregation on the dashboard that was also very slow, but it's still calling a number of API endpoints that we don't really need to call. So I spend a lot of time doing those optimizations, batching data, limiting data, paginating data, and all the kind of things, other things that can be done. And I'm looking at the API requests, and some of them are still taking too long, so I still have to figure out. But there are just some operations that we keep doing that it's cached now. Many of them are cached now, but they are kind of expensive operations as well. So the endpoint, especially with the fact of the network, them all not being on like an exact same network, so I need to figure that out. Yeah, there are plans to build like an actual queue system for background jobs that we do, like a bull MQ thing, so that it can actually process well. We can know when a job fails. We can know when a job. We can get the status of a job, and things can have a defined order that they go into, and we don't have race conditions and all those crazy things, especially because we're intending to add more APIs to be consumed in a analysis task that runs on the backend. So we are intending to move the whole thing off completely from the main backend server because it just also slows that one down, because then that one does not have enough capacity in terms of RAM to do what it needs to do. And then also thinking about maybe scaling up the backend as well. But anyways, bro, I'll think about that tomorrow. So yeah, Yeah, so it was pretty fun there. I wanted to stop at some point, but then I got inspiration again. I wanted to try again and all that kind of thing. So I continued working, and then I left it some few minutes ago at blah blah blah. I've also I also started writing back again. I have some ideas that have been dropped in my heart consistently by the Holy Spirit over the past couple of weeks, and so I decided to just start putting pen to paper, or maybe my fingers to the keyboard rather. Um, Also, I'm moving into working like full time with a startup, so I'll be doing less of the business side of things. That is like running my own actual agency, at least for now. Maybe I'll still do a few gigs here and there, but it probably won't be a thing dedicatedly. I think the major thing that I'm just going to focus on, apart from startup, is building my own startups. Right now I'm focused on just building B2C apps, consumer apps that I can scale with TikTok, and I've been running. I've also scrolled on TikTok again today to warm up the account, so I'm currently using. I mean, I have a boilerplate, really good boilerplate that I can use to get most things done. But to build out the app itself, I don't want to think too much. So essentially, I just use applications like Bow.new or Rock to build it out. And so that's what I'm going to focus on. Those couple of things. My to do list is always growing shorter and shorter, and there's less and less that I can put into my day and all that kind of thing. But I'm trying to just put as much as I can into the day and try and get things done. It's unfortunate sometimes things fall through the cracks, but I'm just trying to get as much done as possible. So yeah, um, I think I think that's everything that I did today. Yeah, but I'm actually even really excited to write this book that I'm writing. I'm not sure if this is going to be the final title, but right now it's called The Marvels of God. And yeah, it's quite interesting.